What's going on, guys? Mindo89 here, welcome back to the channel. In this video I wanted to talk about me seeing the devil in the dreamscape, in the Astrals, one night not too long ago. I think it was about a couple of months ago now, and what I experienced and how Hollywood depict, in all these cartoons, depict the devil as being this huge, great big red entity with two horns is very, very real. So going back to the experience, I was again conscious in my dream, and I was inside a church, and I was with a team of guys, and these characters, it was like I was in a video game. Really, really surreal. We're inside this church, and there was all these skeletons, coming at me. Otherwise, you'd see in a computer game like Skyrim or something like that, and they're wielding swords. And I remember I had my own sword, and I was having to proper dodge these attacks. And I remember just swiping through them. And I remember there was a door I had to get to on the other side of this church, and they kept coming after me. And I looked around, and there was other players also killing off these skeletons, and they just kind of, once you hit them, they just kind of turn into a pile of bones on the floor. So I remember getting past, and it got even like more intense with all these skeletons, because they were trying to stop me from opening up this big black door which is in the side of this church. And I had a little padlock, but I knew I had to get there. So whatever was playing out, even though I was conscious, I knew what I needed to do when I was aware at that time. And so what happened after killing the last skeleton, there was a huge SWAT team that rocked up behind me. There was about probably 10 of them, and they were in perfect formation. And they all had guns, and they faced at me. And I was like, shit, I'm done for. I can't do anything here. Because I knew I had to try and get that door open somehow. So the SWAT team were there, like aiming their guns at me, telling me to freeze. And then as they said that, this other player, this other guy or entity came in and just wiped them all out. And it just like put bowling balls, just absolutely stunned them all out. And I was like, oh shit, cheers, man. And I turned around and I started chipping away at the padlock on the door, and it snapped. And as I opened the door, it was like this completely different world revealed itself to me, and it was like a yellow brick road that was leading up to the door, and there was all these like green pastures, and then right there on the far side, on the right hand side, was the devil, a big red motherfucker with huge horns, just sat on a huge golden throne. He must have been about probably 4 or 5 stories high even when sat down, and he was really muscular, really, really big and muscular, and he was just there, real patient, just looking real zen. And I remember he looked over at me, so he like moved his head like real slowly and looked over at me, and we locked eyes. And then after that, because whilst that was happening, I can see coming down that yellow brick road towards me where the door was, were all these little wizard gnomes, And so they were about 3 foot tall. They're quite short, but they had wands, and they were casting these electric bolts at me. So these like electric balls they were casting. And I remember as they got close enough, they started casting at it, and I was like dodging him. I was like, shit, and I knew I had to close the door, so I closed the door. And when I closed the door, I woke up, and I was like, what the fuck? I was thinking, whoa, and it was lucid, astral projecting. I was in the astral somewhere, obviously probably the devil's realm. But how interesting is that? In a church, which, coming into some information now off the back of doing more research, the house I'm in, believe it or not, is actually linked to a church in the middle of the town that I'm in, which had a secret passage underneath the house, which otherwise in the cellar has been completely bricked over, and it's otherwise linked to the Freemasonic lodge down in the centre of town here. And this thing was built in 1717, so that was one of the first lodges ever to be built. And so I believe that what I saw in my dream, I was actually in the church, which is otherwise down in the town centre. And because going back to seeing how it was depicted in the dream, it's got a very similar layout. I know most churches have, but I was just wondering, the secret passage linking to that Freemason lodge, because this house, this street, and what this house used to be called is exactly the same name for the saint that is named after the lodge, the Freemasonic lodge. So I'm wondering whether there's definitely some connection there, and whether, because based on what's going on and what I've been experiencing, I'm here for a reason, and this may have been a seal or like a portal. And I'll talk about it in another video. There's a dream I had of a huge tree we got out front, which otherwise was some kind of portal that I saw underground, which I'll go into more depth, which is quite interesting, whether you guys had similar experiences. But yeah, how they depict the devil in Hollywood was exactly the same as how I saw this entity. But he otherwise looked really zen. He was just sat there, looked really patient. And I remember he just slowly turned to look over at me. I mean, I don't know what the fuck I was doing. You know, I had no context or other information other than I knew I had to open the door. So I opened the door and then obviously had to shut it because I was getting attacked by these fucking little wizard gnomes. And what I'm beginning to realise now is, like, in this dreamscape, when I become more conscious now, because I'm so sensitive and kind of purified, I'm so open up to this reality now, in the astrals, and I'm every night having loads and loads of different dreams, being conscious in the dream, so discovering a lot. But a lot of what I experience with dreams like this is otherwise true as to why people have gnomes in their gardens. These beings are actually real in these realities, in these astrals, in these planes. and I've seen these gnomes as well in another dream state, which was linked to astral projecting. Actually, astral projected in the dream, which is, I'll put another video up to explain that, but that was pretty surreal too. And it's all flooding in because it's the time we're in. You know, this is the time to purify, guys. If you're not purifying, purify, because you'll be able to tap into this realm, this hidden realm, and start deciphering and decoding our reality a lot better. And having these mad experiences. It didn't feel bad. Like I said, I saw the devil and it was like, I didn't feel bad at all. And I'm wondering whether other people have actually seen, you know, the devil as well. Whether this entity is just one entity or there is multiple entities like this devil. So now going back to my experience seeing on the moon, Enki and Enlil otherwise had two great big horns. And they were wearing like samurai attire, like dressed as warriors. And these two entities had these horns, and I'm wondering whether these, you know, you see a lot of films like, what's the latest one by Zack Snyder, with Darkseid being the Justice League. And there's this entity who's got big horns on, and he's otherwise representing this dark side force that's going throughout the universe to consume worlds, and they're coming after Earth. And so it seems, you know, and obviously the Baphomet, the goat, it's always the goat with the horns that are depicted as the devil and these devils. So I'm wondering whether there's like more than one, and they're like a species, but here on Earth there's one particular one that kind of runs the domain here or whatever. But that was so very interesting. So if anyone has had any similar experiences, yeah, please leave a comment and tell me that you've seen this entity too. He's a great big motherfucker, yeah, muscly as fuck. So I've got no idea what I was doing, but I was just chucked in, and it was like a computer game, bashing these skeletons. And then, you know, SWAT team rocked up, and this other player I was playing with, it was like a multiplayer game, and he come in and just wiped out all these SWAT players. And then I opened the door, and it was a big black door as well, big black door, but it was like Candyland. It's like you open yourself up to like this magical land, and it was like really beautiful and green fields, you know, golden pathway, this yellow brick road almost out like Wizard of Oz. And he was like just chilling out, looking out somewhere, which I couldn't see beyond like where I was able to see behind the church. And I was thinking, fucking hell, man, like if I was able to go back there and just see and ask him what the fuck is going on, you know, because he looked pretty approachable. It's weird, but it looked very approachable, this being, this devil. But anyway, yeah, I thought I'd share that experience. I'll keep it short and sweet. But yeah, let us know if you've seen him as well. That'd be pretty cool if you had. But yeah, pretty mad dream. Right guys, thanks for listening. See you next time. Cheers.